Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Sports Talk with Kerry Wehmeyer show for Thursday, July 22nd. In this episode, we're going to be going over once again SEC Media Days. This is day 4 of SEC Media Days, so we will be running some clips tonight from all the coaches that participated in this week's SEC Media Days. So we'll be doing that tonight. Also, we'll have scoreboard update. So we'll have that in just a few moments. So let me go ahead and send out the links. If you want to come in video chat with us, the link will be posted. It'll be StreamYard. You can come in. Once again, please have your mics turned on. And also make sure your cameras are working 100% in working order. So let's go ahead and send those links out to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those out. So we'll okay. If you're on YouTube and Twitter, they are set up for you, and we'll go ahead and send it out to Facebook as well. So I had to send it to Facebook as well. So we will be sending those links directly to Facebook. So we are live. So let me get this switched in. Let's see if I can get it switched in. We'll go public. So once again, anybody can join. Let me put this in. That's in. So all the links are posted. StreamYard, Facebook, and Twitter, and YouTube. So those 3 links are posted. If you want to come in and talk, that's fine. Also, if you want to do it old chat, you can do it through the chat as well. So let's go ahead and go through some score update this hour before we do once again SEC Media Day recap from this week. So let's go ahead and go over some scores. We're going to go over to Beeson. It's going to be Major League Baseball scores. Okay, Major League Baseball scores going on, and in the top of the 4th, it is Atlanta on top 5-0. Also in the top of the 3rd, it is San Diego on top of Miami 1-0. That's in the top half of the 3rd. Also in the bottom of the 3rd, no score between Cleveland and Tampa Bay. Also Yankees and Red Sox, no score. That's in once again that is in Boston tonight. Also, St. Louis on top 3-0, bottom of the 3rd. Also, Los Angeles Angels and Minnesota will get going at about in just a few moments. Around 9:10, San Francisco will take on LA Dodgers, and also Seattle will take on Oakland. That'll be later on this evening. Auto scores: Detroit wins 7-5. So that's in Major League Baseball action tonight. Major League games going on as we speak. So that is your score update. We'll also give you the Canadian football scores. That will be once the game begins at 7:30. They will we'll have those scores for you. So without further ado, we are going to go to SEC Media Days. So I'm going to switch it over to the SEC Media Days to my screen. You'll see the videos that we're going to be playing tonight. So let's go ahead and do that. Switch this over, and we'll put the sound in. Okay, once again, we will start with Nick Saban. We will also have Jimbo Fisher, also Mike Leach, and also Eli Drunkridge, and also Brian Howson from Auburn, and also we'll have Lee Clark from Vanderbilt. So let's begin with Nick Saban. see what he had to say at media days. So we'll just wait. Let's see if we can get the see if we can fast forward it. So we're definitely going to fast forward to Nick Saban. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go over to Nick Saban right now there.
Good morning. There's been some talk in the college football world. We should address head coaches. If it was up to you, what is your preference? Is it Nick, head coach Nick? How would you like to be addressed?
Look, I respond to just about anything, and I've been called just about everything. So, not something that's really important to me, but I think everybody should have the opportunity to sort of create or make the way their expectation is of how they get addressed, and it's not something that's really that significant to me.
Coach to your right on the second row. Tyler Shaw with KBTX and College Station. I was just curious your thoughts on Texas A&M, what Jimbo Fisher's building there, and do you see them as legit contenders in the SEC West?
I don't think there's any question about it. Jimbo's done an outstanding job there. They had a really good team last year. And, very challenging game for us. It's always difficult to play there. We have to play there this year, and I know they have a lot of good players, both sides of the ball. And I know Jimbo from back in 2000 when we started out at LSU. He's a great coach. He does a good job. He's a good recruiter. He's well liked by the players, and he creates a culture on his team that, enhances very good competition, players being competitive and putting themselves in the best position to have a chance to win. So we have a lot of respect for Texas A&M and the kind of team that they're going to have this year.
Coach, we're going on the front row here.
Hey, Coach. Tom Martin, Bama Central. Two-part question, both about the receivers. Where do you want to see John Mechie grow as a leader of that unit that doesn't seem, some unproven guys and some with experience? Where do you want to see his leadership grow? And then what does Jamison Williams do for you guys on offense?
John Mechie is a very mature player, very mature guy. Is a guy that has always set a good example and been somebody that other players can emulate with the example that he sets. He's been a good leader in that group, and a lot of the players respond to him in a positive way because he has a very serving personality. He's not confrontational, but he's very helpful. Jamison Williams has been very impressive with us this summer. We felt like we needed somebody who has juice and speed at receiver to complement the players that we have, and some experience because we've lost 4 first-round draft picks in the last 2 years at that position. And he certainly has not disappointed us in how he's added those elements, to our offense, especially in what we've seen this summer.
Coach, front row to your right.
Hey, Coach. Nikki Noto Palmer, 09 graduate, if you will, Atlanta CW 69 Sports. You mentioned vacation's over. I honestly have a really hard time picturing you on vacation, so I want to know, how do you turn it off, and what does vacation look like when it doesn't involve golf or Lake Burton?
Well, I'm so obsessive compulsive that we only go to Lake Burton in the summertime. That's the only place we go. And we go to our house at Gasparilla Island, which is Boca Brandon, Florida, in the wintertime when we have a few days. That's the only place we ever go. So,
on Facebook.
But I do, contrary to public opinion, enjoy sort of being away, different circumstance, different environment. I really enjoy the lake. I play golf every morning. People don't like the fact that I take a bath on the dock, dive in, soap up, dive again, rinse off. It's, kind of the hillbilly in me from West Virginia. And Terry and I get to spend a lot more time together just to enjoy each other. We don't get to do very often. So it is different, and it is good, and it does recharge you, and even though I'll still watch recruits on the video and I'll, kind of look at next year's opponent sometimes if it's a rainy day or whatever. It still has helped me learn how to turn it off so that you're more ready when you have to turn it back on.
Coach, to your left front row.
EP Stidham, WHEP, AM and FM, Foley, Alabama. Coach, is this the most depth you've had at the punting position? And what do you tell Will Reichert after having such a spectacular season?
Well, Will did have an outstanding year last year, and I think the big thing is it's kind of like playing golf when you're a specialist. You have to, consistency and performance is what's going to define your success, and when you have that kind of success, you don't want to just make that the standard and think that you're going to be frustrated if you can't match that, but you just want to be the most consistent, best performer you can be. That's what we try to emphasize with him. And look, we have a lot of punters because we're trying to get, it's not been one of the strengths of our team. So we're trying to get someone who has the ability to go out there and change field position for us. A little better than what we've been able to do the last few years. That's not been one of the things that we've done a great job of when it just comes to punting average, punting performance, consistency at that position. So, hopefully with the guys that we have there now, someone will be able to do a little better job for us.
Coach, to your right on the second row.
It's MEC 13 in Birmingham. Coach,
going
going
into
into
cameras
last year,
not
capacity,
having
how important
problems.
is it as a coach for you to have your players have 100% with the fans?
I don't know
this
why it's
year?
having
You talked
problems.
to Greg and your president about how important it is to have 100% capacity this year, Brian Denny.
I think that from a player's perspective, the players that went out early for the draft all had very sad eyes when they said that the thing that I regret most is playing my last season and we didn't have 100% fans. So from a player's perspective, I know how important it is for players to feel the energy, feel the enthusiasm, feel the passion, because it is a great atmosphere and environment all over the SEC, but also especially at Bryant-Denny Stadium for our players. And it's exciting, and they enjoy that part of the game and the excitement of the game, and to be able to go out and try to perform well in front of a lot of people. And so it's as important as anything to me, but it's also something that has to be safe for the people who do it. So we don't want to minimize that, even though we have a lot of enthusiasm for that to happen.
Coach, to your left front row.
Coach Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio in Huntsville, Alabama. Development is a huge part of your program. After spring practice, tell us about the development of some young offensive linemen like Damian George and also J.C. Latham.
I don't know
They joined the program and enrolled early.
what's going on.
I do think that because we have to
We're having
rebuild the
issues
offensive line
tonight.
to some degree, we have two starters back and some other players who have played a significant amount, but we also have a lot of young players. I think you
Come on. I don't know what
Thank
is
you, well
going
done.
on.
sort of it's important for us that those guys mature and develop and gain confidence in being able to play those positions, whether it's to become a starter or to be a backup who can have a winning performance if necessary and they need to go in the game. So we believe in those guys. They have a lot of ability. They have a lot of talent. They're certainly capable. But, offensive line is probably one of the most important positions to be able to develop because there's so much playing together with the other guys, whether it's pass protection, run blocking, whatever it might be. So to have a cohesive group up front that can kind of trust and believe in each other, I think is really important. And those two guys' development will obviously be pretty significant in how that group sort of develops this year.
Two final questions. The first one, Coach, to your right, second row.
Hi, Coach Georgia Chambers, WF 48 in Huntsville. Can you touch on LeBron Ray and what you're expecting from him this season on the field and from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, LeBron Ray is a guy that we have a tremendous amount of confidence in. He's a mature player. He's a very good player. He can add a tremendous amount to our defense. Certainly has struggled through his career because of injury. He's had several injuries that have kept him off the field at least half the season last year, and we only played him situationally toward the end of the season, trying to keep him healthy. But he's a guy that has a lot of potential, a lot of ability, can really add a lot of maturity, leadership, and performance to our defense. And hopefully he can stay healthy this year and have the kind of year that I know he's worked hard to be able to have. So we're trying to, help him have the best opportunity to do that.
Final question, Coach, to your left, back row. Coach Matt St. Jean, WTBA in Tupelo. With the kind of the weird season last year, did it make it more difficult to evaluate the first year of Coach Lane Kiffin and Coach Mike Leach? And what do you anticipate in year two out of Ole Miss and Mississippi State this year?
I have a lot of respect for those two coaches and those two programs, and I think both those guys will do well. And I do think that it was probably as difficult a circumstance to try to take over a team and a program relative to COVID, not being able to have spring practice, not being able to do a lot in the summer with the players. So you're talking about implementing new systems and new philosophy, creating new cultures, and not having really much of an opportunity to do it until fall camp started, which started late. I think it's really hard to judge, but I think both guys did a good job last year under the circumstances, and I'm sure they're going to do even better as time goes on.
Thank you very much, Coach. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Nick Saban. We will have. Let's go ahead and we'll switch over to Jimbo Fisher. So Jimbo Fisher comes up next. So we Jimbo Fisher. Let's switch it to Jimbo Fisher. I don't know why it's not. Hold on. I don't know why it's not showing the screen of Jimbo Fisher. Let me switch it. There it is. Switch the screen. There it is. So we'll just go ahead and Jimbo Fisher. Then we have Mike Leach. Then we have Coach Junkerridge and Coach Howson. And then we'll also have Lee Clark.
Coach Tyler Shaw with KBTX back at College Station. After going 9-1, you guys are obviously no longer flying under the radar at all. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be giving you your best shot. Is that kind of what you expected? How do you
Well, that's where you want to be. You want to be relevant. You want to be everybody's game that they mark on the calendar. That means you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you become the organization you want to become. And now we have to deal with that. And we have to handle that, and we have to understand the responsibilities that go with that, and the standard at which we have to play and practice and prepare with each and every week.
Coach, we're going to your left on the second row.
Hey, Jim. Rocker DeSanger from WHNT-TV in Huntsville. You and Nick had a little bit of a back and forth this offseason. I was comical to a lot of people. You said you were going to beat his rear end, and he said in golf.
Yeah.
First of all, who's the better golfer between you two?
I don't even play anymore. I'd have to practice for a week to be able to play with him.
And second of all,
I'm joking. He's the golfer, not me.
How has that off-the-field relationship grown between you guys over the years?
It's great. I mean, I have the utmost respect for them. And our whole statement of that was that they're the standard you have to play at, and that's why we're here. We have to meet that standard, and we have to play at that standard every week. And then, and when that game comes, we can still play the same standard. It doesn't matter who our opponent is. But they've raised the bar, have done a great job, and have the utmost respect for him and their program for sure.
Coach, to your right, second row.
Coach Mike Lucas, KXTV in College Station, with nine starters back on defense and a couple superstars in that group. How dominant can we expect this defense?
Well, I hope so. And again, one of the reasons you're good on defense is you're good on offense. You don't turn it over. You can score points. You can eat the clock. You can do things there. But also that their standard of how they're going to play well up, and they just have to play up to their capabilities. We have some tremendous players. Mike's a tremendous coach. Got a great staff. And I think, don't put too much pressure on yourself to play well. Just play well. Do what you do. Play up to your capabilities, the standards in which you have, and I think you'll be fine. But they're a very talented group and a very well-coached group.
Coach, to your left, third row.
Hey, Coach Jacques Doucet, WAFB in Baton Rouge, covering high school football. The name Texas A&M seems to be coming up more in Louisiana in terms of recruiting. I know you can't talk about specifics. So
You see, all got a lot of good players in Louisiana.
That's right. And so, can you talk about how you've been able to recruit Louisiana? And just what have you built at A&M in terms of stacking these classes up there?
Well, if you're going to play at the highest levels, you have to put 3 classes back to back because you got to create depth, you got to create competition practice, and you got to find out who the best players are each and every time. You got to have that group, and we got to continue to do that. And as long as we continue to win, we ought to be able to have those classes because people want to come when they win if we do a good job. So that's very important. If you just don't have one class, or you don't have a class and a bad class and another. You can't get to where you're going. You have to consistently have good players. All of us coaches have egos. We all think we're great coaches. We're real good coaches when we got real good players. And I'm going to say that. And recruiting is a big part of that. Then it gets into player development. We have to develop our players, put them in the right positions, and let them grow as players. And hopefully we built that there. Hopefully we can consistently do that because if you don't in this league, they'll let you know real quick.
Coach to your right in the third row.
Jimbo, as they say, iron sharpens iron. How is coaching with Nick Saban 20 years ago and now against him in the same conference helping you better?
Well, I mean, your standard of how you know that you're not going against a team that's not ill prepared. You're not going against a team that's not very talented because they recruit well, and they're going to be able to handle big situations. So if you want to match that, you better be at your best, and it keeps you at your best all year round. Just like he lives it every day of the year, I live it every day of the year. And if you don't, you can't meet that standard. And he's done a great job of that, and that's the way he was when I coached for him, and that's the way he definitely is now that I'm going against him. There's no doubt.
Coach to your left, second row.
Coach Ryan Hennessy, NBC 13 here in Birmingham. Some unfortunate, sad news that came out about Bobby Bowden today, and I couldn't think of a better person to ask this question to. What did he mean to you? What does he mean to you, and what impact has he made on your coaching career? He's impacted a lot of people here in Birmingham.
Listen, their family has a big impact on my career as anything I've ever done involved. My father and my mother gave me the opportunities, but then when I started playing for Terry in 1984, people always accused me of being about it. I used to go stay at their house. I would stay there. I would go to practices and watch. I would sit in meetings and listen to him organize and coach his coaches, players, organize game plan. I sat in the press box. I go to bowl games with him. They put me up when I became a coordinator at Sanford. Let me go to bowl games with him and watch him organize meetings. Sit with a headset on and listen to him call the game, how you want to call plays, how you want to set things up, and just everything you could humanly do to give me an opportunity. Coaching for Terry and Jeff, and they coach me, and then I coach with them, and Tommy, and knew Steve and Ginger, and all of them. But Bobby just always embraced me and taught me and talked to me when I had things to ask, things to do. And then when I was fortunate enough to be able to coach, one of the reasons I wanted to go back and coach with him. And I don't know if there's anybody that's ever done it with any more grace in their class on the sideline in college football in the history of this game. And had the success he had winning, doing the things he does, and the impact he had on his coaches, and the impact he had on his players and everybody who came in contact with him. He's as fine a man as there ever was, and he means the world to me. And it's a very sad day for me to think of that. I just talked to him just less than a month ago, and we had a coffee, and it was funny. He said, I feel good. He said, I get the Houston paper to keep up with you every day, buddy. I'm keeping up. You're doing good and all this stuff. And it's just funny, that he has that respect. But then at the same time, I said, how you feeling, Coach? He said, I don't feel bad. Just don't have a lot of energy and go. And then, of course, 3 or 4 weeks later, he gets a diagnosis. And but what a man. Like I said, what a man.
Coach to your right in the front row.
What's the quarterback battle like? I know you've been asked that a lot, but just how close are you to naming the starter?
Oh, don't name the starter. I won't. Know how they play and what they do, and I'm very blessed to have 2 guys that I'm very confident with. Those guys, Zach's tough. He's competitive. He's mentally tough. He understands the offense. He can run. People don't understand how good an athlete he is. Haynes really knows what's going on. He's competitive, tough, throws the ball really well. So we got 2 excellent guys. So I'm looking forward to the battle come fall camp. I mean, I don't know. I'll know when I know and when they tell me.
Coach to your left, front row.
Hey, Coach Justin Cakes, TV and College Station. Given that, how nice is it to have Isaiah Spiller, Devon Chain, Jalen Wehmeyer? I mean, weapons are plentiful around those quarterbacks, but do they have to play well too, right?
Well, they do. They have to. Their game's got to go up. But like you say, you got all 3 leading receivers back. You got a Nice who's phenomenal, as good a player as anybody. Dez and Chase, all 3 of your top receivers. You got Wehmeyer's All-American tight end. You got Spiller, who's the All-American caliber back. You got a Chain, who's MVP of the game. So all those skill guys around those guys have played. Then you get people forget you get Caleb Chapman back. Chapman was playing pretty daggone good when had a pretty good Florida game and some games before he got hurt. Demas is in there. JP's in there. get Moose Muhammad back in there, get Devin Price in that group. I mean, all those guys, getting those guys back, it's a great group of guys. And to have a quarterback to break them in, you want all your skill guys and all those guys around with experience. And that's going to be a huge part of their success, which I think is going to be a big advantage for those guys.
Coach, to your right, second row.
Jim, how do you keep everybody happy, though, with touches and whatnot when you have so many weapons to your disposal?
Simple. Best players play, and I tell them. We keep them honest where they're at, what they're doing, and we did last year. I mean, we got the ball. One thing we do in the way we run our offense, the ball gets distributed around. They all get touches. We're very versed on what we do, and whether it's run or pass, and getting the ball to different guys. So we have those guys, and they'll get their touches.
To your left, coach, third row.
Coach Matt Trent, WBRZ in Baton Rouge. I know the news of Texas and Oklahoma maybe coming to the SEC is still fresh and you don't know a whole lot about it, but your AD said that he's really not for it because he wants Texas A&M to be the lone team from Texas in the SEC. How big of an identity deal is this going to be moving forward?
I mean, A&M being in the SEC is great for us. It helps us tremendously. And like I say, it's speculation. You don't know what's going to happen. But for a conference to expand and do that, there's a lot that's got to go in. There's a bunch of other teams that they're saying left out. What do you do with those? I mean, there's a lot left that we can say. We just talk about Texas and Oklahoma, and hey, they got a great conference. They're proud of it.
To your right, second row.
Coach, you got to replace 4 starters in the offensive line last season. When you have that many holes to fill in a unit, what's the process of figuring out who fits best where and how do you come up with it?
Experimentation and where you put and what you think guys are. And again, I'm saying this, I think we're very talented there. I'm very blessed. And getting Jameer in, having experience helps. Luke is really an older guy. You don't realize, think of him as a young guy, but he's an older guy who's really knowledgeable. And then, of course, Layden has played some, has done really well, powerful, and Aki does a great job. So I'm very excited about that group along with the backups in which we have. And then the young freshmen we're bringing in. So I'm really anxious to watch that group grow because, it's a very talented group of guys.
2 final questions. The first one right here in the front row.
Coach, you mentioned Caleb Chapman. What's his status? Is he going to be 100% this season?
Yes.
And what do you expect from him?
He's 100%. He's ready to go. He's doing all the running, all the training, everything right now. He's ready to go.
Final question, Coach, to your left, front row again.
Last one here, Coach. Your DBs, they're all back as well. What do you expect from that group, and especially your safeties with the leadership back in the back?
Well, there is a leadership group there with Damani and Leon and AJ and Carper and all those guys are in that position, whether you're nickel, but in your corners with the Jones boys and Brian George and then all Chappelle and Deuce Harmon, all those young guys in that group. They're all very talented too. So having that group and the versatility to mix and match those guys and a lot of length, size, and athleticism. So very excited about that group.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, once again, we'll have Mike Leach, and then we'll have Coach Drunkwich, and then we'll also have Coach Howson and also Clark Lee. So we'll begin with Mike Lee. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this over, and we'll have that in. There it is. We'll take these out. Take Nick Saban's on flip out.
Okay, we have head coach Mike Leach, and he wants to go right straight to questions. Would like to lead us off. Right here, Coach, to your left, front row.
Hey, Coach. Nick Niehaus, WABT TV in Jackson, Mississippi. 3 quarterbacks on your roster, all 3 from Mississippi. Is there some kind of quality that you're finding from these guys from the Magnolia State that you really like?
Well, they have great football. Mississippi's got great football. The whole state does, and a lot of enthusiasm around it. And so, and then of course, starting out recruiting, I'd say most of our players are, from relatively close, within 4 hours or so, and then branch out from there. But I think a pretty good combination. In that 4.5 hour radius, we've gotten some pretty good guys, and then I've also gotten, some guys that really have an interest in what we're doing in our program from a long ways away that, are involved too. So it's been pretty good. We got some guys from Florida, California, Texas, and spots in between. And so, but anybody excited about what we're doing, we're excited to look at them,
Coach, to your left, second row.
Ryan Hennessy, NBC 13 here in Birmingham. Some sad news coming out today about head coach Bobby Bowden, and he means a lot to this community here in Birmingham. I want to know what your thoughts are on what Bobby means to the coaching community in general, and what he meant to you as a coach, kind of looking up to him in a way.
I first became aware of Coach Bowden when, well, first of all, he's a great person, great example to everybody, and has a great family, and was never afraid to kind of share himself, both kind of spiritually, wisdom-wise, anything. He's like, just kind of gave to everybody. I felt like, and I was lucky enough to know him. And so, but I remember when I was in junior high, I loved watching his teams play because they threw it before other people were throwing it very much, and it was as they were emerging, as he was building the program, they would, somebody's supposed to get after, Florida State, and they'd have these big upsets and things like that, and then by the time I was at Valdosta State, they were 1 or 2 in the country every year, and just a great guy, and it's one of those guys that really made you want to coach, wanted to be a coach, wanted to be a part of what he was doing, wanted to great example on how to do it well, but then also just a complete person along with all that. So it was I feel very honored the time that I've had to spend with him.
Coach, I'd like to go to your right on the second row. Coach Tyler Shaw with KBTX in College Station. Just curious your thoughts on coming back to Kyle Field this year. I know a place that you're familiar with your days at Tech.
Thrilled to come back to Kyle Field. I think it's one of the greatest places in America to play. Just the environment, the magnitude of people and enthusiasm there and their traditions. Always like coming to Kyle Field and look forward to it this year. We had some great games, in Kyle Field over the years.
Coach to your left on the front row.
Hey, Coach, Jack Abraham is someone who obviously put up a lot of big numbers at Southern Miss. What kind of caught your eye with him when you realized he was in the transfer portal and everything?
The ball comes off his hand quick. He's accurate. The other thing, I did think he elevated the players around him. And then, I think pretty good pocket awareness. And then the other thing, we were looking for both depth and experience. And he's the most experienced quarterback we have on our team right now. And then, of course, those guys will battle it out and fight it out. We'll see what happens.
Also, if I can follow up, Conference USA to SEC, it's obviously a big step up in level of competition, even in just practice in spring. How has he kind of responded to that level up?
I thought he looked good. I thought he looked very good. I thought he had a good spring, and he got better as time went on.
Coach to your right on the third row.
Coach, you got a chance to play against Mike Elko in Texas A&M's defense last year. When you look at Coach Elko and what he brings from his defensive coordinator position, what makes his defense so unique and tough to go against?
I don't think it's unique as much as it's just really sound. I think very sound defense. Like the guys aren't out of position. Guys are where they're supposed to be. They play hard. And it's one of the highest compliments I can give somebody is that they're very sound, and that's what I think is really strong with them.
Goes to your left, second row.
Hey, Coach, Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV. Austin Williams was in here a while ago and said when you guys go see movies on Friday night, you stay to the end and watch the credits. Is that something we should all appreciate a little bit more?
I do watch the credits, and it's not to get, occasionally they try to ambush you with one extra quick little thing, and I don't get ambushed, and so, but that's not really the reason. I'll be honest with you. One of the big reasons that I watch the credits is I'm always curious where they filmed it. And I'm kind of obsessive about where they filmed it, and so that's one of the things I'm I'm waiting for, and then and who was in it. Occasionally I can remember, it's familiar with their work or something like that. But I'm a big where they filmed it guy. A little bit. I'll look at that, and occasionally there'll be a song or something that I'll try to figure out what it is, or there'll be somebody does a song but you're not sure who did it. So I'll try to sort that some too. You got to be quick with your eyes though, because that soundtrack stuff, they go sideways. Here, try to read them both at the same time. We're going real fast.
Coach, we will go to your right on the back row. Here at KMD Sports Animal BallPlus.com. Javonte Payton left for Tennessee this offseason. What is Tennessee getting in Javonte Payton, and what type of wide receiver is he, and how will he succeed in that offense?
I don't really know. I mean, I just talk about guys on our team. So we'll let the volunteers handle that.
Back to your left on the front.
Coach, so Austin Williams also said that implementing the air raid this year after going through it a whole season, it's kind of easier, obviously. They're not learning as much. They're just being told where to go in the moment, and they're picking it up a lot better. Have you noticed that it's gotten a lot smoother than it did that first year? Obviously, COVID and no spring ball, it hurt that. How much smoother has it looked in practice?
In spring, it definitely has. Instead of everybody thinking about things, it's more automatic. They get where they're supposed to be quicker and more precisely, which synchronizes things. As that happens, it elevates the execution. We still got a ways to go, no question, but it was a big improvement from the season.
And then just following up with the movie question, do you have a handful of go-to movies that your favorites?
Favorite movies? I mean, I got a bunch of favorite movies. Some really good ones. Rio Bravo, Sting. Everybody likes Citizen Kane, and I like Citizen Kane. Anything by Alfred Hitchcock. I would say Psycho and Rear Window would be my favorite.
Yeah, stupid question about movies and stuff like that. I mean, why ask stupid questions about movies and stuff? I mean, what? I mean, what they talking? We're talking about SEC Media Days or fucking movies.
Eagles Dare was a great movie.
That right there. I'm gonna tell you, the media, like I said, they did this absolutely to circumvent things and stuff like that. Talking, asking stupid questions about movies and stuff like that. I mean, why ask about that? I mean, he wants to talk about football.
Well, then there's no plot, because all there is these, Fargo's a great movie.
Just saying.
Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, Outlaw Josie Wales. There's a bunch. I could be your old. A Wonderful Life is a tremendous movie. Pretty much anything by Frank Capra is a great movie. The best one I've seen this year, it's got Better Call Saul in it, and it's called Nobody. Nobody, yeah. That's the best one I've seen this year. I mean, and we've been on kind of a drought this year, in my humble opinion. Besides, there's not so many. I mean,
Coach, we have time for two questions. We'll go with the back on your right, and then we'll come to the front row.
He wants to talk about something other than the movies, so he hated all those movies. All right, go ahead.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that. I can talk movies all day.
Yeah, but we're not talking about movies. That's the thing about these media guys doing media days. Look, they're talking about movies and stuff. We're talking about football, the football season.
With college football changing so much and seemingly by the week, and is that something you dislike how much the game seems to be changing this offseason?
I think I'd like it to settle down a little bit, and because there's just a lot of things you gotta wait and see where the dust settles on it. I mean, and I guess earlier in my career, I mean, I'd chase around memos and guess and speculate, and grab the newspaper and, ooh, they said this, they might do that. Well, maybe they will, maybe they won't, they might, that drove me crazy. I mean, after a while, I stopped doing that. I just wait till they finalize it. And some of the name, image, and likeness stuff, the dust is going to settle somewhere. We'll see where it is. I think you got to guard against it being a bidding war, because I think if it's a bidding war, it'll really damage college football. Like as far as an amount or something, I don't care what the amount is as long as it's not a bidding war. They're just observations. I mean, as we progress, well, this is what professionals do. This is what the NFL does. And the rest, I mean, this is kind of the fun stuff, the more beneficial stuff. Other things that could be around the corner, if you keep going down this path, is, draft. Guys getting drafted instead of recruited. Guys getting traded. Guys getting cut. And keep in mind, they do this in baseball, minor league and major league baseball. The parents, hug their son, and he's got him a new TV and some school clothes, and pulls into his dorm, and kind of a tearful departure, and pretty soon a guy comes running up to him and says, "Hey," he says, "Yeah, hey, I got some bad news. Yeah, you've been traded. You're going to, say, San Jose, and they're going to need you. They're going to need you in 2 days. And by the way, I'm going to need this room by tomorrow morning." So, there's a lot of dimension to a lot of this. And then one thing that I think would be helpful, a friend and I were talking about this, and and he had a great initial idea, and then we kind of talked about it more. And the thing is I think we don't want to discourage people from getting degrees. I think it's false that everybody acts like football players don't want degrees. Almost every football player I know definitely wants a degree. It's not just they want degrees, okay? And so I think you want guys to graduate and get degrees, and then this portal is proven to be fool's gold. Is what's the number? 1,100 are out in the cold right now. They'll be selling big gulps or whatever. Hopefully finishing school somewhere, I hope, but certainly would have, in a lot of cases, probably would like to wish they'd rethought that decision. And so I think that there's got to be an encouragement to stay, at the school you sign with. And what if we were to give $150,000? The guy comes in, $150,000 when you graduate. When you graduate, you get your scholarship and all that, but you get an additional $150,000 when you graduate. Okay, people are going to be, they're going to graduate. I mean, they're going to be a lot more inclined to graduate. And then the other thing is if you transfer, you don't get the $150,000. You get the $150,000 if you're at the school you signed with. And then I think that, in a positive way, as long as we're talking about distributing money, the guys are inclined to stay at the school, graduate, and not transfer. And I think, there could definitely be some holes in this idea in theory, and it's just a starting point. But I think something like that may be something to think about.
Our final question, Coach, right here, front row on the right.
Hey, Coach. Kate Thomas, WAFB. Do you feel like the NFL is becoming more open to air raid quarterbacks, especially with the success of guys like Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes? And then also, I want to know what you think about the fashion style of everyone here at SEC Media Days.
The old fashioned what?
Just everybody's fashion that they have, the different looks. But the first one, the air raid.
Well, the air raid's been around the NFL for a long, long time, and a lot longer than some people think. some of these guys, I'm going to toss them a pen and say, here, draw up what you're talking about, you know, and they'll run from that pen like it's a rattlesnake, I guarantee you. But it's been around, concepts like that have been around the NFL. We're probably getting pretty close to 20 years, certainly 10. The last 10 Super Bowls, you know, both teams have ran some form of air raid concepts, you know, and they may not have gotten it from the air raid specifically, but it was, you know, stuff that's like that, you know, utilizing the personnel, attacking the space. And so there's been quarterbacks like there for quite some time. I think one thing that created so many quarterbacks is they started having the 7-on-7 leagues, you know, as the 7-on-7 leagues took off and different states would have the tournaments and 7-on-7, you know, I think it developed a lot of quarterbacks and receivers. And so I think that, you know, that definitely contributed to things. But, you know, I mean, the New England Patriots, how many Super Bowls, air raid concepts, you know, I mean, and then I guess I was a little conscious because two of my guys played, Danny Amendola and Wes Welker both played for New England, had another guy too. But anyway, I think it's been around for quite a while. And then the other thing is, you know, in my case, it's a byproduct of, you know, just watching football all the time, studying the film and, you know, copying and then maybe adjusting and putting our own twist on it. So, you know, that's gone on since football started. Is you know, that like everybody thinks they're just throwing it now. They just started throwing it now. Well, they've been doing it for about 25 years, and everybody's just listened to too many people who said they're not throwing it very much. If you think they're not throwing it, ask Alabama if they threw it at all last year. And then, you know, you go clear back to Sammy Baugh. Sammy Baugh threw the ball a lot, you know. So that's why they called him Slinging Sammy Baugh. Anyway, that's it for anybody.
Coach, thank you. You've been very gracious with your time, voluminous with your answers, and nobody's done a finer job than you in here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, once again, Mike Lee talking about, I'm going to be honest with you. To say this, look, that air raid offense is absolutely, it's just an extension like that. I mean, when they throw that football, I'm going to tell you, they're going to hum it. They're going to hum it maybe a mile. So, look, a lot of people think that they're not throwing the football. They're kidding themselves. They're going to throw the football if they need to. So, once again, Mike Lee talking about Mississippi State's program. So we will go ahead and go over to the last three. We'll have Coach Drunkwidge talking about Missouri's football program. We'll have Coach Howson talking about Auburn, and also Lee Clark talking about Vanderbilt. So, and then we'll wrap it up tonight.
Well, appreciate everybody being here today. You get to find out which the sports writers are the toughest ones who can last the day for. Obviously, there's a few empty seats here. Some guys just aren't cut out for life on the road and didn't have their pandemic legs underneath them. Would be remiss if I didn't start out by giving a shout out to Paul Feinbaum for his contract extension. Nobody tries to steal a show quite like Paul and start out SEC Media Days by leaking that news. So congrats to Paul on that. You know, hard-hitting questions coming out of yesterday. You know, I think one of them was whether or not the horns down is going to be 15-yard penalty in the SEC in the future. So I asked Commissioner Sankey in the hallway, and he gave me a strong rebuttal by saying no comment. So we'll see where that goes. But excited about the opportunity to be here today and share with you about the energy of the Mizzou football program and what we're trying to build in the SEC moving forward. You know, I really felt like last year we exceeded the expectations of many of the people in the room, but also many of the people within the state about what we could accomplish in such a challenging season. Last year we were able to win 5 conference games. We were able to beat the defending national champions. We were able to beat Kentucky for the first time in 5 years, able to win both of our trophy games and avenge a loss versus Vanderbilt. We had 5 players drafted. And so there was a lot of positive momentum to go into the offseason. We did a nice job in recruiting and continued to develop this program. But we didn't meet the standard of what we want to be moving forward. And so we are continually chasing that close the gap mentality. How do we close the gap amongst the upper echelon teams of the SEC? And it's going to be a process. It's not something that just happens overnight. I got to remind our fan base that Coach Smart and Coach Mullen have years of experience at their school, and we're trying to close that gap in a hurry, but we're not going to do it overnight. But we need our fan base to continue to re-engage with us and be excited about our program. We're very fired up about the opportunity that lies ahead. We returned 8 starters on defense. We returned 8 starters on the offensive side of the ball and 4 specialists. We got an opportunity to have a really strong line of scrimmage, which is one thing that we learned last year was needed in order to be successful in this league, and really look forward to returning an all-SEC player at the defensive end position with Trajan Jeffcoat. We were able to bring some guys back with that COVID year. And so the defensive line should be a strength for us on the defensive side of the ball. We added a new defensive coordinator in Steve Wilkes, a guy with tremendous NFL pedigree and experience, and also coaching in college football, a coach who's just a tremendous leader of men and a motivator of players, and excited about the scheme that he's going to bring and the energy that he brings to the football field every day. Obviously, we lost some players to the NFL and had some weaknesses there, so we went out and utilized the transfer portal to our advantage. We were able to add 2 quality transfer defensive backs in Caleb Evans and Allie Green. We lost a linebacker to the second round to the Chiefs, and so we went out and added Blaze Aldridge from Rice, who was an all-conference performer there. So we really felt like that we put the pieces in place on the defensive side of the ball. That was obviously a weakness for us, especially towards the end of the season, and so we're excited about the opportunity for us to improve. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding. We got to get those guys going in fall camp. On the offensive side of the ball, Coach or Commissioner Sankey said this was my 2nd season, but 1st year at SEC Media Days. We're trying to get Connor Bazelak a back-to-back SEC Freshman of the Year. I don't know if that's possible, but with the COVID exception, maybe it is. SEC Co-Freshman of the Year. So we have a proven commodity at the quarterback position. And so we're excited about the growth that he can show and earn. We've added some playmakers around him. Obviously, Mookie Cooper is a guy that we're excited about to go along with Kiki Chisholm and Toski Dove. And then Tyler Beatty at tailback. When he was featured for us last year in our games against LSU, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, he really did some nice things for us. He's got some explosive ability. And really can do a lot of different things out of the backfield. So a lot of things to be energized about for a fan base and for a program. So with that, we look forward to the 2021 football season and look forward to the challenges that lie ahead. And with that, I believe the next thing I'm supposed to do is open it up for questions.
You got it, Coach. Thank you very much. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Victoria, Lawrence, and Fuller have microphones, and we'll get one to you. We'll start down here in the front left with Bob.
Hey, Eli Bob with Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Nice to be in the same room with you finally. You got 2 kids on both sides of the ball from Fayetteville with Byers and Bannister. Wondering what you're expecting from them. And you brought Keel here today. What went into that decision? That's a pretty big honor.
Yeah, those 2 young men do a lot of different things for us in our program. I mean, Barrett Bannister is a guy who seems to always play his best game against the Arkansas Razorbacks. I guess it just means more to him being from the state, playing against those guys. And he's a guy that does all the little things right, is an extra gritty player, works extremely hard at his craft to perform above his capabilities on a day-to-day basis. He's the type of player that Mizzou football has always been about. He's the type of player that our fan base can really embrace because he's a blue-collar mentality, works for everything that he's been given in life. Akil Byers is a young man that is a leader on the defense side of the ball with a lot of game reps, a lot of experience. Obviously, he's from Fayetteville, has the potential, has really invested himself into this season, into our football team. And it's a true honor for him to be here today. I was able to bring both an offensive and defensive lineman, again, just to emphasize both to our team and to really our fan base that it's got to start at the lines of scrimmage for us to be successful.
Which will go over here on our left side. John.
John Adams, KnoxNews.com. Since your popularity is surging right now, I was just wondering, when you sign an autograph, do you sign Eli or Elia?
I sign E and then a lot of squiggly lines, and if anybody can make it out, that's up to them. But I go with Elia and then go from there. I don't know about the popularity of surging type deal, but Twitter's not real, just so we're on the same page.
Coach will go in the center section along the right aisle, about halfway back.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. You brought up wondering about horns down and if that was going to be a penalty if Texas were to come to the SEC. Besides that, what was your initial reaction to hearing the report about Texas and Oklahoma having that interest?
I've been trying to tell people everybody wants to play in the SEC, man. And if you can attract a couple of really good schools to come play, that's great. I immediately called my athletic director and Jim and told him that if the commissioner changes and adds 2 games to our schedule, I think we all understand that Mark Womack's going to put both Texas and OU on Mizzou's schedule moving forward. So we're ready for any challenge that is thrown at us. No, in all seriousness, control what you can control. That's all speculative. This is talking season, as a coach once phrased it, and speculative season, and it gives y'all a lot of things to do. But what we're worried about is converting third downs and scoring touchdowns. And they ain't on our schedule this year. And if the commissioner decides or our presidents decide that's what it'll be in the future, then hopefully Missouri employs me long enough to see that.
Coach will stay in the same section a couple rows ahead.
Hey, Eli, Jordan Hill, Local Black Auburn News. I want to ask, what comes to mind when you think about the time you spent coaching with Brian Harsin, and what's sort of your expectations as far as what his approach is going to be at Auburn?
I owe a tremendous amount of respect and debt to Coach Harsin and the opportunities that he gave me, and really a lot of the things that we do as a program are a direct result of the things that I learned from him and the way he implemented them at Arkansas State and Boise State. He's got a tremendous plan. The thing about Coach Harsin is he always has a plan for everything he does, and you're going to see that unfold at Auburn. I'm not up here to put undue expectations on anybody else. I think the Auburn fan base does that well enough by themselves. And so I got a job to do right here, and that's to coach and represent the University of Missouri. And all the best to Brian and his family.
Which will go all the way to the back of the center section.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, WZZN, ESPN Radio in Huntsville, Alabama. Pretty well documented last year, but you mentioned your friendship with Gus Malzahn, and was wondering if he had any advice for you about today, and how surprising was it to see what happened to Gus last year at Auburn?
I don't think anything in this business catches you by surprise much anymore. So I don't necessarily know that I was caught by surprise, disappointed for a mentor and a friend. His advice to me was to make sure I was really respectful to Bob, and he says hi. And then after that, don't pontificate. And then the last thing he said was don't pick a fight with Kirk Herbstreit. So go from there.
Coach will go in the center section again, over here right in front of us.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today? Gerard Hamilton, the Tuscaloosa News. Since joining the SEC, it doesn't seem like Mizzou really has a rivalry in the conference. If Oklahoma joins the SEC, would you be excited to kind of rekindle that rivalry?
I kind of like the rivalry we got with Arkansas. I mean, I don't remember the last time they beat us, so I kind of like that one. And the Battle Line rivalry, I mean, it's pretty good for us. So, but I think we'll just keep that one right now. That's a good one. Respect Sam and everything he's doing with that program. He's obviously doing a tremendous job. I'm from the state, and so that makes it a little bit more special, a little added incentive. So I'm not going to speculate about anything. Just because y'all don't think it's a rivalry doesn't mean it ain't a rivalry. It means a whole heck of a lot to my household, and I know it means a whole heck of a lot to Barrett Bannister's household, and I know we like having that trophy at the end of the game. So I think we'll keep the one that the commissioner set for us.
Alabama has a record number of open jobs. Find yours at your local career center.
Okay, let's have Brian Howson, coach of Auburn. So we'll have him. So we'll go ahead and do that with him. So and then we'll have Clark, Lee Clark, and then we'll have Coach Sam Pittman from Arkansas talk about his program.
What's going to be the process?
Just switched it over.
Yeah, well, we got to do it sooner than later. I know that we've already been in the process of that, watching these guys this summer. You watch them in training, you watch how they lift, you see the strength development that they're making, and you get a pretty good idea of the guys that are really putting themselves in a position to compete and be the starters. Nick Brahms is a guy that played center for us. He's leading, does a great job in all the workouts. He is a leader on our team. And so, there's a guy that's going to be playing for us at that center position. And then there's going to be a lot of competition, because I've seen, from all of our O-line and D-line in particular, one thing about Coach Pittman's program, and being an ex-O lineman himself, right? The O-line and D-line, there's a lot of focus on that. The strength, the power, the short area quickness, the things that we have to really be elite in those two areas has been a major focus. So our guys have gotten bigger, they've gotten stronger, which we need up front on both sides. And when we get to that first week, usually how our camp works, we have a couple of days where we're split. We have some of the new guys, selected vets, in one practice. We have the returners in another, some of our veteran players, and then we bring everybody together. And we have a scrimmage on day 8, and after that scrimmage, you've got a pretty good idea of where you're going with your 2 deep. And then you have one more, and you're kind of finalizing your 2 deep, you're finalizing some of the special teams, and you start getting into game prep. So these guys are going to have 12 to 16 to 17 practices. And you're going to be using a different combination of O-line, because you want to see guys who can play guard and play tackle, because you need that. And that's important to me. One year at Boise State, we were 12-1, but we had, I think we're 13-1, but we had 11 different combinations on the O-line just because of injuries and different things. So you want to train guys where they can play tackle, play guard, you have your center position. And what you do is you want to get those certainly 5, but you want to get those 7 that you really have in the rotation, and who's the next best to go in there. And sometimes you got to move a player that's out to tackle and bring in this next guy that might be a guard. And that's what Coach Friend, our offensive staff, that's what they focus on. We had a meeting about that the other day, and Coach Friend's got a great handle on it, how he wants to do that. And so we'll start getting to that fairly quickly in camp. We'll go to your left on the front row, Coach.
Gianna Hahn, AL.com, 2-part question. So the SEC Commissioner, your athletic director, Alan Green, and former coach and national champion, Gene Chizik, have all made strong statements about vaccinations. First, are you yourself vaccinated? And if not, how are you talking to your players about getting vaccinated when this is something the school and the league are really promoting?
Yeah. No, yes, everybody's made strong statements. And like I said before, there's so much information out there, and what we can do is educate our players on the vaccination, what that means, certainly what the SEC is requiring as far as the numbers and those things. And like I said before, and I've said it with our players, this is a personal decision. We have medical folks. Dr. Goodlett is phenomenal. He does a tremendous job, and he's available for all of our players, staff, anybody that wants to get it or needs more information on it. I have not asked our players. I have not asked our staff. And I'm not going to make a comment on my situation either, because I wouldn't expect my players to be asked that or the staff to be asked that. And that's something that we started a long time ago. And so we're going to continue our education. We're going to continue to keep doing what we've been doing. Like I mentioned before, I think the last 5 months, we've had no positives, and our guys have been doing the things we've asked them to do and following the protocols necessary in order for us to go out there and prepare ourselves to play this season. And I expect nothing less. And we'll continue with the education and continue on with the things that we're doing, and then also respect our players and coaches on our staff and their opinions and the decisions that they make. Coach, to your right on the second row.
Coach Bill Cameron, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. You've obviously got Bo here with you. You brought in TJ Finley through the transfer portal. Is there a quarterback? Will there be a quarterback competition? What do you expect from those two and your offense?
Let me just say this. Every year that I've coached quarterbacks, there's a quarterback competition. All right. And here's what I mean by that. You have your returners. They've played, they've proven themselves, they've been in games and all that. But you also have guys that are hungry to play, and they've also been working. They don't want to be backups. They're doing whatever they can to get on the field. We're going to have a pecking order. Bo will start when we get out into camp. He'll be the first guy that rolls out there. There's a pecking order. TJ Finley is going to have his chance to run with the ones as well. Grant Loy will have his chance to run with the ones as well. I've always done it that way. And then we'll find out with those reps how those guys execute, how those guys handle that group, and then what do they deserve from there. And it's going to be at every position. And so, that's always, is there a controversy, anything like that? No, there's not a controversy on our team, but there's competition every single day. And, my job as the head coach is to play the best players. And the best players are the ones that go out there and take advantage of the opportunities that they get from the coaching staff, and they maximize it. Those guys have no control over that. The quarterback, I control that. Coach Bobo controls that. You're going to get 10 reps, maximize it. You're going to get 5, make the most out of them. And, when guys start worrying about that, I think that comes from so much external and other people in their lives, like, you're not getting this, you're not getting that. Well, what are you getting? And that's my job, is to make sure they understand, no, this is what you are getting. This is what you have today. Maximize it. And this is what we want to see from you. So TJ has done a really good job. I liked just his whole approach. He's come in. He's really dove into just getting into that playbook and understanding the details of what we're trying to accomplish, getting players out there, throwing with them, trying to do everything he can to put himself in a position to go out there and compete. And if he's has an opportunity to play, that he's ready for it. And the other guys have done the same thing. And so that is my full expectation of every player on this team, to not come into a camp and be like, I'm good. All right, come into camp and get better and prepare, and know that you got somebody on your team that you love and appreciate and all that, but he's nipping at your heels now. And he wants to play too. When you have that as a coach, when you got 3 deep and everybody's competitive and everybody's good, you bring out the best in every one of your players. And I think that's what you want to create, depth and competition on the football team.
Coach, to your left on the end of the front row.
Coach Ryan Hennessy, NBC 13 here in Birmingham. It's been quite a year to be hired as a head coach in the SEC, from the new Christmas Eve presser to introduce you to all the way to now. And I hear it took a while for you to even meet the parents of the players. So what do Auburn fans want to know about you outside of the football field? What does Coach Harsin do for fun? What's something about Coach Harsin that Auburn fans want to know about on a personal side?
Good question. Well, it did take time. When we got to the families via Zoom, in order to meet him, it wasn't until A Day that I had a chance to truly, in person, get in front of our families, which is difficult. Their sons are playing for you. They want to know who you are and what you stand for. And, I'm very committed to the game. I love what I do. I love the people that I'm around. And when I'm not at football, I'm with family. And when I'm with family, we're having a good time. All right, we're gonna get food. A lot of times we're gonna be together. We're gonna be on the lake. That's one of the things that I really enjoy. I'm gonna get on the boat. I'm gonna be on the lake. I was a skier and then a wakeboarder, and jumping the wake and catching an edge and slamming your eyeballs into the water. I had enough of that, so I ended up getting a boat you can surf behind and go 11 miles an hour and throw a rope in, and if you fall, you just melt into the water. And so that is my thing. I'm gonna find some smooth water at 9 o'clock in the morning, and my wife and whoever we can find, the flag, is gonna jump in the boat, and I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna surf, throw the rope in, and just be free for a while and play some good music and enjoy that. Other than that, I'm into cars. Working on my dad and I, we put together a 69 Mustang Mach 1, and I say we, but he's doing most of it right now. And that's something that he and I, talked about for a long time. So I get a chance to kind of participate in that a little bit. I know the motor, I know the transmission, I know the rear end and some of those things. And
When it's all said and done, it'll be a beast. And we're figuring out how to get this thing finalized and on its way to Auburn, Alabama. But my main focus, and always will be, is my family. My wife, she is unbelievable, and I am so fortunate to have her and in my life. And she really leads the family and the things that we do together. I mean, we just have fun. We have a good time. I love my kids, and like I said before, they love being in Auburn. And early on, I'm shocked because of where we came from. And I didn't know that. And that's the biggest concern as a father, is your family going to thrive? And they are. So we're having a good time. We're enjoying it. I probably eat a little too much of shrimp and grits right now, so I got to be careful on that. But other than that, and we're happy to be in Auburn, and those are some of the things we do for fun.
Coach, front row. Coach Tyler Shaw with KBTX TV and College Station. What's your main focus as you go into year one at Auburn, and what are your expectations for this team?
Number one is that we connect with our players, and I want to know, and what I mean by that is it's not always that you're hanging out with them all the time. Like, what is important to them? What are their goals? What do they want to accomplish? That'll tell you a lot about your team, and you got to put all that together. Each individual has a goal and a dream and something they want to accomplish. Bring that together and then help them understand, all right, you can do these things, all right, but also within how we're trying to accomplish our goals as a team. All right, so understanding that, get to know our guys, and then really simply just playing good football. I want to see our guys play good football every day. I want to eliminate bad football, and I want our guys to understand what that looks like and what it takes to really do that. So there's a blueprint for that, and it's every single day. And it's how you approach the evening and get yourself prepared and maybe write something down that you want to accomplish the next day and get a visual, or sit there and visualize for 10 minutes, what you want to do. Wake up in the morning, expect to be successful, and show up and do the thing. Really show up, actually. Show up. Be on time. Be there. All right. Care about what you're doing. Trust that this plan in place is going to get you better, and then follow that throughout the day and repeat. That's what we have to accomplish. There's a way to be great at things, not just football, in my opinion. And, I want guys to have that. I want them to have that formula. I want them to understand it. They can use it however they want. I just want them to know it. And so it helps us with our football team. It helps them in their life. And when they're done playing football, they're ready for whatever's next. Right? They have a plan. They have habits. They have a process. They're not going to sit there and think, what the hell am I going to do now? Like, you know what? You can't play the game any longer, but you're always going to be a competitor. So what's next? All right, here's how you're going to attack it. Here's a plan to do it. This is what you learned through being an Auburn football player. Go. And, the most exciting things should be happening from that point on. And getting that, because I'm passionate about that. I care about self-improvement and self-development because I know it's going to help us as a football team as well. But those are things that are important to me and making sure our guys and coaches understand.
Wish we had time for all the questions, but our final one is going right over here, Coach, on the left on the end.
Hey, Coach, Max Cohanway, 31 in Huntsville. I know the transition from Idaho to Alabama is a pretty crazy one. I made it myself. I'm kind of wondering for you, what have been the biggest adjustments you've had to make both on and off the field?
Yeah, the biggest adjustments now, one is, everybody asks me, are you ready for the humidity? And, I am. Right? I don't know that yet, but in my mind, I prepared myself. I've heard it so much. I am. And I'll tell you what, I've been in 3-degree weather games where I got Vaseline on my face and I'm drinking chicken broth, all right, in between series and all that. You know what? I'm ready for the humidity. All right. So I'm looking forward to that. As far as just, being in this conference, being at a place like Auburn, football is really important. I love it. Football is really important at places I've been. But here, it's really important, and I enjoy that. And through our football team, we can make an impact. When you're on that field and you see a disciplined, tough team play that believes they can win, and I think that makes your fan base and people proud, and that's something that I feel very strongly about. I feel in the community, so it makes you want to show up every single day and just do whatever you can to get your team prepared to go out there and play like that and represent Auburn the way that we all hope we can. So I've always cared about the teams I've been on and their performances and being successful. I'm just excited about being here in particular, just how important it is, how much support we have, how much I've heard from people that just say, you know what, we love Auburn, and you believe it. And so to be a part of that, to be a part of this kind of environment, that's what's most exciting, probably different, and what I'm looking forward to most.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll switch it. Okay, Lee Clark, coach of Vanderbilt, so we'll go ahead and play him. And then we have Sam Pittman next. So that will be
welcome Coach Lee, and he is ready for questions. Where can we start,
Coach Lee Clark.
Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio in Huntsville, Alabama. Coach, I wanted to ask you about how you've put together your organization so far. I know recruiting is the lifeblood of any program, but I've featured him on my show several times, and he's been a stalwart in the recruiting industry. But talk about adding someone like Barton Simmons and what he's going to mean to your university.
Well, I mean, you said it, recruiting's the lifeblood. And I think for us, recruiting at Vanderbilt looks different than recruiting anywhere else. And that's not a bad thing. We see that as an advantage to us, but we have to take that attitude towards it. I mean, his intelligence within recruiting, the outside the box thinking, seeing it from a different perspective, not just, again, regurgitating a model from somewhere else, but saying, how do we do this with impact and effectively at Vanderbilt? He's been fantastic. And the great thing about it is, there's only going to be growth in that role because it is different, right? I mean, he's going from being outside to being inside. And so now you start talking about managing systems and scouting and people. There are layers to that, but we're excited and feel like we're heading in a great direction with recruiting, and that flywheel slow turn is building momentum. Well, more than sure. I think indicative of his abilities as a thinker, an analyzer. I mean, he's a smart guy. Smart people figure things out. We have fun, and part of we had a friendship that goes back to middle school. That's not why he's here, though. I mean, this was born of our conversations when he was still an analyst and I was a coach throughout my career, where we would just talk about what are the measures that are important, what are the matrix that we need to use or that are effective or impactful in evaluating, projecting growth within a player. And to have those conversations now in the office are a lot of fun. So we feel really good about it and feel like again there will only be growth in that area for us, which is exciting.
Coach, to your right, front row.
Hey, Coach Chase McCabe, ESPN 1 The Game in Nashville. A lot's been made about having your players earn their number, earn the logo on the helmet, go through that reset that you've talked about. How rewarding has it been to see these young men go through that process and grow as individuals, but also grow as a team?
It's been probably the most rewarding thing that I've experienced in my career, I think. Just, we do these things for us. They're not for anyone else. We understand the context and the significance of what we're doing. And we're trying to create something special that's shared. It's together. And you don't have to train people to be selfish anymore, but you have to train. We all need training to be unselfish and to think of others before ourselves. And the jersey number idea wasn't something that I had my mindset on. Anytime I was going to get a head coaching job, this is what I do. It was more about seeing the need and filling the need and knowing that this team needed a reset at a level where we stopped identifying ourselves through things that don't matter and started to identify as teammates first, as workers second, and as a collective effort that's charging towards a common goal. And so what we've seen is they've earned their numbers. What we saw when they earned their way into the new locker room is the excitement, the exuberance, the spirit of a team that's on a mission. And we'll continue to do that. And it starts with me. They know, my players know well, that there's not 1 year in my 16 of coaching that validates me for this job. I don't deserve it. I have to earn it. And that's every day. And so even those that have earned the number, it's not ending for them. It is truly a beginning. And now they're to pull their teammates to their jerseys too.
Coach, to your right, front row. Coach Tyler Shaw with KVTX in College Station. When you look at your year one, what would you say your main focus is in order to start turning the program around?
Well, we've insulated our program, and we're rehabbing internally first. I mean, everyone wants to have an opinion about Vanderbilt football, but I'm most concerned about the opinions that are in our building. That starts with everything that our players meet is different than it was in the past. I'm not recruiting to the past. I'm recruiting to the potential. I hired a coaching staff that's in total alignment and total lockstep with the vision for what's possible at Vanderbilt. That's what we focus on. And what I need is a team that sees that vision and works to actualize that vision every single day. Because what happens when you protect the internal perception or grow the internal perception, you fuel external confidence. And a team that is going to be exposed in the arena going to be measured against an opponent needs to know a lot about themselves first. And so that's where the focus, that's where the effort's been. It's every day we're a work in progress. Every day there may be a new need or an adjustment to what we're doing, an adaptation, just to get this team in position to be the best it can be in 2021.
Coach, to your left on the second row.
Alex Scarborough of ESPN. I'm curious what you remember last year from Alabama tight end Jaleel Billingsley. But beyond that, the tight end position, how do you see the growth there in dynamic playmakers that we've seen the last few years and what they do to a defense?
Billingsley was fantastic and was incredibly challenging to defend because he had skills that made him really hard to cover, but he was physical enough to block and create problems in the run game. The tight end position is a position that can be a game changer. That's a big target in the red zone. Again, anymore that becomes a threat in space. As you nickel out and teams will move tight ends to receiver positions now, and maybe you have a 5'10" guy on a 6'6" guy. I mean, it can create a lot of issues. Certainly that's a position we're interested in recruiting at a high level. We feel like there are plenty of tight ends in our footprint that are looking for what we offer. And it's a place where a tactical advantage can be gained on the field. And so, at Notre Dame, we had a number of really good ones there too. It's as a defensive coordinator, it just creates a lot of challenges for you.
Coach, to your right, second row.
Chrissy Floyd, Sports Illustrated. What are your expectations for Ken Seals specifically, and does he remind you of any other quarterbacks that maybe you've seen or coached in the past?
Well, right now my expectation is that he competes for the starting job. I mean, we have Jeremy Musa and Mike Wright that are going into fall camp for the best man to earn it. That's not to take anything away from Kenny, but it's also to say that if we're going to be in an environment that everyone's to earn it every day, that needs to be a part of our mantra heading into position battles too. Kenny had a great winter and spring. I think he's developed as a leader. I see his confidence increasing. He has the ability to, with his athleticism, to extend plays and to convert first downs. And he has arm talent, and I think those two things at Vanderbilt are going to be at a premium. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that, Mike Wright has developed so much through the spring. He had a terrific spring game. And I'm really excited to see what he's capable of this fall. And then again, Jeremy Musa, who, is as competitive as any of them, as he works to hone his skills this fall too. It's going to be exciting to know that we have three guys that can compete with each other, they can sharpen each other, and that'll make our team better by the time we're playing.
Coach, to your left, front row.
Rudy Harmon, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama coach. I wanted to ask about three guys from my area, and we had a chance to meet one of them earlier, Davion Davis, great young man. How do you see him fitting into your team as you've learned more about him? And then also Malik Langham, another defensive lineman, and DeRicky Wright.
Well, that's three really good ones, right? So maybe we need to get down there and recruit a little more. All three. Davion has become the heartbeat of our team. He's a guy that's respected amongst his teammates. It's all rooted in his work. I mentioned this earlier, but he early on in the process displayed a commitment to kind of the new method for doing things that just stood out. I mean, he did it without flinching. It was like, okay, he wants desperately to be great. He wants to win. And so what he's learning to do is now shift focus from doing it for himself to doing it for the people around him and bringing them with him. But what an incredible heartbeat. What an incredible young person that, hopefully unlocks a new level of performance within this new program. With Malik, I think just from a comfort level standpoint, just seeing him function in our program, the strides he's made since we arrived is incredible. I mean, he's obviously got skills. He's a big, physical, imposing player. But I just see him walking around with a little more swagger, with a little more confidence. And I can tell that he's gained comfort in what he's doing. He's established relationships with coaches that have allowed for him to, again, unlock another level of performance. Very excited for him through fall camp to earn what he wants for himself. And then with Dericky, I recruited Dericky, back out of high school. I knew what kind of player he was. I mean, here's a guy that has a frame that could be a defensive end, but has skills to play safety. It's incredible. We had to get him on track off the field, and that's normal growth and maturity that anybody would experience. Dericky's dealt with a lot in his life. I mean, he's had a tragedy that surrounded him that we've had to kind of put our arms around him and support him through it. What I've seen from him this summer again is he's hitting his stride. He's, it's funny. I mean, it's the little things, right? These guys are young and they're developing, but he's getting his rest. His face is filled out. He's got energy and enthusiasm with everything he does. And now it's a matter of going to play. None of this with any of these three guys, predicts that they're going to be successful in our season. It's about they're doing everything that they can do right now to be the best people and players they can be. And once we start practice in August, it'll be about actualizing that work on the football field. And it's all there for them to earn it. And all three of those guys have a chance to be really impactful for us.
There's another question on the right front row. What are your expectations this year on both for your offense and, on the defensive side of the ball as well?
Offensively, I want an attitude. I want an attitude and a style of play that's physical, that can change the pace, that uses shift motion and formation to create matchups. And when we create those matchups, we finish with catches. Let's design to create space for our players, and let's get balls to our playmakers so that they can go do what they do. We're going to finish drives with touchdowns in the red zone, and that's how we're going to be successful on offense. It's an attitude. On defense, obviously, I mean, if you turn the film on and watch a defense play, it's all about being effort-based. It's about knowing your structures, but it's about playing really, really hard, playing harder, longer than your opponent. And so it's the swarm of the football. It's multiple hats at the finish. Again, we have to be structurally sound. We have to know, how we design defensively around the opponent's strengths. But I want to see 11 guys that are playing together and playing hard. And if we can do that, we're going to be competitive, and we're going to be in those close games late that a high character team will win.
Final question, Coach, here on the right front row.
Coach, you went to Vanderbilt, played at Vanderbilt, so you know what that is like. To see the financial commitment that's been made from the university, the support of Chancellor Diermeyer and Dr. Lee, how does that make you feel, not only as the football coach, but as an alum?
Proud. I'm proud. I think as the coach, it makes me excited because, the fact that I could be responsible for this program in a moment where you have this alignment of leadership and resources. I mean, to work for Chancellor Diermeyer, to work for Candace Lee, Tommy McClellan, the leadership in our department. I mean, it's personal to Candace, and I like that. I relate to that, we want so desperately for this program to reach its potential. Chancellor Diermeyer with the big vision and the big push, and it takes that. I I feel so lucky to have someone in that position that is supporting and pulling for our program. And so as the coach, I'm just excited. As an alum, I'm very proud. This is long overdue, but we have a chance to do it right. And so part of my responsibility in this role is to ensure that this facility gives us relevance for a long time. And I'm determined to do that, but so excited about the vision for it and what it can be.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Lee Clark, we will have Coach Sam Pittman. So we're going to go ahead and our last coach tonight is Sam Pittman. So we'll go over to that one.
Coach Pittman, and he is ready for questions. We'll go right here on the row to your right. There we go. Coach Pittman, Trey Shapp, 1037 The Buzz in Little Rock. Your Twitter account and the picture of you and the pigs, how did that come about?
Well, a friend of ours, Jamie and I, took us to the Bahamas, and one day I just rode I think they call it a tender, and rode it up there. It's amazing. The hogs are they're on the beach, and they're pretty good size too, and so they're floating out there, and you can feed them and all that stuff. So that's how that came about. And I wanted that shot. There's the sharks down there too. I'm good, but I wanted that shot with the hogs.
Coach to your left on the third row.
Hey, Coach Andrew Kaufman from KMIZ in Columbia, Missouri. I'm curious what your relationship is like with Coach Drinkwitz and what you think of the state of the rivalry is, the battle line rivalry between you guys and Mizzou.
Yeah, I enjoy the rivalry. I think it's exactly what it should be. We're close. We recruit a lot of the same kids, all that. Eli and I came into the league at the same time. I have utmost respect for him and what they're doing at Missouri. They had a heck of a year last year, and we're looking forward to playing them on the day after Thanksgiving. But we have, from my standpoint, we have a really good relationship.
To your left on the second row, Jacques.
Hey, Coach Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV in Baton Rouge. Can you take me back to last year before the LSU game and how crazy it was, on Friday morning, like at 9 o'clock, to not know if you're going to play a game or not?
Yeah, I believe last year, the only way we could get better is to play the game. And even if it wasn't, we were about out of all defensive alignment, several kids. And at one point, we go, we're going to play. We're ready to play. And then our running back, starting Traylon Smith, we got to where he might need to be quarantined. And at that point, I'm going, we can't play. I wanted to play for us. I also wanted to play for LSU because they hadn't played in 2 weeks. If we didn't play them, they wouldn't have played for 28 days. And them kids are working too. We obviously wanted to beat them, but I didn't want them sitting out another week. So Hunter Yurchek and I were both in the staff room, and when Traylon was supposed to be quarantined, I said, "That's it. We can't function." And then I called, or our medical people called Traylon, and he said, "Hey, I hadn't been around whomever it was that had the COVID." He said, "I haven't even been around it." And so he went ahead and played. And it was a really good football game, and so disappointed we weren't able to win. But that's kind of how it went down. There was a very, very fine line in there whether we were able to play that game or not. But we also knew that LSU fans had traveled, Arkansas fans had traveled, and we didn't want to disappoint them, either one of those fan bases either.
Coach to your right, on the first row. Coach Tyler Shaw with KBTX TV in College Station. After the foundation you started to lay last year at Arkansas, what are kind of the expectations around the program and what do you hope to accomplish heading into year two?
I think we just want to be better, and obviously if we're quite a bit better, we'd like to be that. But we want to be better. If we can just keep growing our program and winning, beating more people, you can use that in recruiting. You can, why are you considering here? Well, we
we were fortunate, but we won that game or whatever it may be. And the more teams you do that in your tenure, then a lot of times you can do better at recruiting. But I just want to play hard and have our players better prepared, bigger, stronger, faster, and then the results happen on the field. For me, each year, if we can just continue to improve, then I think at some point we'll have some huge success at Arkansas.
Goes to your right on the aisle, second row.
Randy Rainwater, 1037 Buzz. You were talking about the LSU game with so many defensive players, particularly in the line, missing. Sam, what have you done to address that lack of depth? I know you went to the transfer portal and picked up some guys there. I'm not sure the transfer portal is your favorite recruiting tool, but talk about adding to the depth and the talent in that defensive line.
Well, number one, the players we had to get better. And not only better, but bigger. I mean, we've had, like Zach Williams was playing around 2.25, 230. The guy blocking you is 350 pounds, 330 pounds. It's a mismatch. He's around 265, 270 at this point. So we had to improve what we had first. And I think we did a really good job with that. We obviously have to recruit well. But then that was probably the only position on our team that I thought, help, we needed. And we went out, and it's nothing against the ones we had. It's just we needed it either in the depth department or in starting department. And we went out, and in our opinion, got three as good of options as anybody probably could have had in the country. If they say, hey, I want to go out and get three, okay, we got these three. We got three pretty good players.
Goes to your left on the third row.
Coach, two of those players from Missouri. Trey Williams is also a local kid from Columbia. What has he brought to your team so far, and what have you seen out of it?
Well, he's got leadership qualities. He's a hard worker. Markel, he's from Little Rock, Parkview. I don't know if Missouri just beat us in recruiting and want him, or if we didn't. I don't know what the story was, but he's a fine player. Played a lot of ball at Missouri. I know about Trey and Markel because Trey was giving Isaiah Wynn and and Andrew Thomas fits when we played Missouri, and they were both first rounders, and he was giving them a tough battle. And then, of course, I knew Markel because wherever I was, it might have been Georgia or whatever, we were interested in looking at him. So the one thing about what happened is they're very, very hard workers. And, of course, then John Ridgway elected to go in the portal from Illinois State. He was a state champion heavyweight wrestler. He's a big old kid, 6'5", 3.25, and has some athletic ability. That if we can shore up that part of our defense, which along with the ones we have, Dorian Gerald. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are coming back as well. Eric Gregory, Isaiah Nichols. I think we have a fine defense.
Coach, to your right on the third row.
Coach Dan Peck, ESPN 1067 in Auburn. When we were talking with your players, they mentioned the significance of the victory over Mississippi State and the way snapping the conference losing streak and getting a win for a lot of these players that hadn't experienced very many of them at Arkansas. What you remember about the aftermath of that Mississippi State victory and how significant it could be for your program going forward?
That's a great question. Thank you for it. I think the first half of Georgia, that was the first game. I think that built some confidence. I know we got beat by Georgia, but we were ahead at half. It was our first all-together game. Then we go to Mississippi State, and we left some kids home, to be honest with you. I'm on the bus or on the plane, and I'm worried like crazy about it. And in my mind, I just go, all we got is all we need. If we go out and play well, we have a chance. I kept preaching that to our kids during the Friday night sessions, and obviously on Saturday morning it was a night game. And then, I didn't really know. I knew we hadn't won, but I didn't, I don't pay much attention to it. I'm just trying to get the best team we can out there. And then after the game, when you go in the locker room, some of the kids are crying and some of this thing. It was a big deal, and we turned that damn jukebox on, and it was fun.
Two final questions. First on the right front row.
Coach, I think everybody knows about Traylon Burks, but Davion Warren, the importance of him staying healthy this year. And then what does John David White mean to the receiving core in this team?
Yeah, I love him. I mean, he's really worked hard, and he almost got a pass last year. The linebacker from Missouri knocked him out, but I tease with him all the time, about, well, you had it for a while, and was it Nick Bolton? I think but anyway, he's really improved. He's gotten heavier. He's working on his separation skills. He's fast, but he's quicker than fast, and he's done a nice job. I am glad we got Davion back. If you look at our team, we have a whole lot of slot-looking kids, and we need some X's and some Y's and some Z's. Warren Thompson coming in might solidify one of those spots. Of course, you have Trey and Tyson and those guys, but we need to get some more stretch on the field, speed.
To your left, Coach, second row.
Coach, I heard somebody say, some Arkansas fans described you as our Coach O, that you guys are similar, salt of the earth people.
Thank you.
Coach Line, yeah, I heard you make the joke about your ACT score in the other room a while ago. That was funny. Do you find your kids and the fans kind of, that attracts them to you, the way you go about things?
Say again.
Do you think your fans and your players admire that about you, and it kind of?
I think anybody admires humility, honesty, and with that, a little bit of self-confidence. I think anybody, I always say the man makes the man, the job doesn't make the man. Just because I'm the head coach at Arkansas has not changed me since I was the head coach at Princeton High School in Missouri. It doesn't change me as a person. It might change my bank account. I think people respect that, Change my bank account a lot, by the way. But I think that's where, I think I fit in at Arkansas because I think people feel like I'm one of them, and I want to be one of them, and I want to fit in at Arkansas. But I think that's probably part of it, and I'm probably the most well-liked 3-7 coach in the history of football, and I'm very grateful and thankful for that.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes tonight's press conference. So once again, thanks for joining us tonight here on Sports Talk, SEC Media Day recap, day 4. So we'll go over some scores, and then we'll wrap up tonight. So let me go ahead and go put those scores up on the screen. So we'll go over Major League Baseball, and we'll wrap it up tonight. So let me go ahead and do that just a second. So we'll wrap it up. Okay, let's go through some Major League Baseball scores, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, let's go to the Major League Scoreboard. Switch this over. Give me 1 second to get it switched over. Okay, Major League Baseball games going on tonight in the on the Thursday night here on the post-Olympic day tomorrow. So Olympics is going to be tomorrow. Okay, top of the ninth, it is Braves on top 6-2, Yankees on top 1-0, Padres on top 3-0. That's in the 7th. Also, Indians on top 4-2, Cubs on top 3-2, Angels on top 3-2. That's in the 6th. Also, Tigers winning 7-5. That game's going on. That's the final. Also, Mariners and A's will begin at just about 9:10, and also the Dodgers will take on the Giants. That will be around 9:10. So that is and let's see if we got a CFL scoreboard update. See if we can pull up the CFL scores. Give me a second to get that loaded up. I know it's a little slow, but we'll get it loaded up in a second. Okay, see if we got a CFL scoreboard. So it looks like they will be playing. That'll be on August 5th. So that they didn't start tonight. So August 5th. So we're going to wrap up tonight. Okay, let me get this. Okay, once again, thanks for joining us for this edition of Sports Talk with Kerry Wehmeyer Show. We had SEC Media Days. Once again, very interesting SEC Media Days from day 4 of the coaches talking about their teams and stuff like that. So, like I said, best of luck to all the teams in 2021 in the SEC. Once again, we'll be back tomorrow, maybe afternoon or even, depending on what we do. So once again, everybody have a good rest of your Thursday night, and we'll see you again tomorrow for Sports Talk.